All right, Dan. I thought of a bit more stuff to tell you about. I had a interesting meeting with our banker. It's a local bank, Winona National Bank, and but the interesting thing about this whole collapse of the banks, the major banks, and especially with the mortgage-backed securities, is that banks like Winona National are getting really the federal bank examiners are looking at everybody, giving everybody the hairy eyeball. And they told Winona National that they want them to deal with some of their... Ooh, you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Deal with some of their... I was thinking that blue rope was going to break. Marshall just was swinging.
And you don't tell me.
Well, sometimes you just got to learn things by experience. Anyway, the federal bank examiners want the... Preston. Want Winona National to deal with some of the troubled loans. Well, as you can imagine, we qualify. Lucky us. In the sense that do it with both hands, throw it up and then swing it with both hands. In the sense that we both. There you go. Keep doing that until you hit it. In the sense that we, really what we owe is relative to what our gross receipts are is kind of out of whack. So the banker said to me or asked me what gave us some options. Really, what the options are is keep doing that, you'll get it. The options are to take our loans and throw it up with both hands, swing. To take our loans and either bundle them or just push them out farther. So what they want to do is, instead of a 5-year amortization, they're going to bump up the interest rate and kick it out, 10 years, or in one case, 20 years. So, and so what does that save us? Well, that might save us, $12,000 a year insofar as cash flow goes. That's the key, right? Cash flow. But, what we're going to make up for is the amount that we're going to more than make up for that by paying them a lot more money over the years in interest. So, is that a win-win? Well, I guess it might be. Preston, that's a soccer ball, not a baseball, bud.
Yeah.
But the other issue is that we've got some cash flow savings coming up, and that Keith is going to be going on Medicare, which will save us almost $12,000 a year. If Beth goes full time, then the family's covered. That's another $6,000 a year that we save. So we've got some savings coming up. But really, we've got also some catching up to do. We've got some vendors who would probably dearly like to be paid sooner than later. So anyway, I don't know how that's going to play out, but it's causing a little bit of stress. But it's sunny, it's nice out. It is what it is. Fall will come, winter will come, spring will come, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can keep working hard, and I can keep focusing on the problem, and it'll resolve itself when it resolves itself. So Perpich, Duncan went and had his interview with Perpich, and it was a partly an individual process, partly a group process. They had a group of 2 other actors he was a part of, and they were given a scene, and then they had 15 minutes where the 3 of them had to get together. Preston, please stop. 3 of them had to get together, and they had to decide how they wanted to act and block the scene, and then they did. They were given feedback, and then they had 5 more minutes to improve it and come back on. Then the individual portion, they had a scene that they had to act. Duncan did a monologue that they were sent something originally. They had 6 photos, and they had to choose a photo, and they had to create a scene off of that included some props, that included 2 or more characters, all of which, the applicant had to act, him or herself. Well, Duncan chose one. It was like a Rockwell schoolmarm photo from the 40s, and so he did this where he had a primer, and he said, "Okay, everyone, please open to page." What? Yes, Mary. No, Mary. Okay, please, everyone up. Yes, John. No, John, you may not go to the bathroom again. And he sort of went along that vein, and until finally he was like, "Okay, everybody, please open to page 52." And he said it didn't go over as well as he thought, but yeah, they could have just been highly focused on judging him. But anyway, he felt overall that the interview went well. They asked him why he thought people, were into theater, wanted to be in theater, and he talked about the importance of exploring the human condition, which makes me happy, because that's how I feel. So he'll find out on April 1st or thereabouts, so I will be certain to let you know. Soccer starting soon. Galen's got U13, but they've got all the way down to 10-year-olds playing with him, so it's going to be really interesting. Preston and Colleen will both be starting. Marshall just got done with a stroke clinic up at the St. Mary's pool, and he'll have spring and summer swimming, which is kind of neat. Spring inside, of course, summer outside. And hopefully before long he'll be able to swim across the lake with me, so we'll see. It's about 600 yards, so he'll be working towards that. Shakespeare's starting soon. It's kind of a bit of a mixed, I don't know, I'm kind of mixed feelings about it. I'm looking forward to seeing all the people and being involved in it and watching the plays. And on the other hand, I really would rather be a part of. Don't knock those bricks apart, bud. I just put them like that for a reason. I'd rather be a part of that. I'd rather be up on stage. So, but that will not be the case for many, many years, if ever, with Shakespeare. Probably never, but that's okay. And I don't know if they're going to have parts for young actors this year, so we'll see.
What?
Hopefully they will. And I had one other thing to tell you about. I don't know. How did Harvey get his name? Well, that's rather an interesting coincidence, Doctor. One night several years ago, I was walking early in the evening down Fairfax Street between 18th and 19th. You know that block? No? Yeah? Well, I had just helped Ed Hickey into a taxi. Ed had been mixing his rye with his gin, and I felt he needed conveying. Well, anyway, I started walking down the street, and I heard a voice say, "Good evening, Mr. Dowd." Well, I turned, and there was this great white rabbit leaning against a lamppost. Well, I thought nothing of that, because when you lived in a town as long as I've lived in this one, you get used to the fact that everybody knows your name. Well, naturally, I went over and chatted with him. And he said, "Ed Hickey's a little spiffed this evening, or could I be mistaken?" Well, he wasn't mistaken. I think the world and all of Ed, but he was spiffed. Well, anyway, we stood and talked, and finally I said, "You have the advantage of me. You know my name, but I don't know yours." And right back at me he said, "What name do you like?" Well, I didn't even have to think a minute. Harvey's always been my favorite name, so I said, "Harvey." And this is the most interesting part of the whole thing. He said, "What a coincidence. My name happens to be Harvey."